Brilliant. Tell Dicky boys. What's going on, everyone? It's Mike, it's John, back again. I made the executive decision today to change the background. So Goodison Park, in the nicest possible way, is a very positive, distant memory of mine, but we must move on.
And now we have got a massive big dick behind us.
It is Hill Dick.
The Hill Dicky Stadium. I'm still not calling it Bramley Moor anyway. I don't care.
Just move your head, just so you can just see Hill Dick. Brilliant. John has also had a new phone, so we don't quite know if it's all set up and everything right. So if there is any feedback in this, apologies. We are learning. Funny enough, I actually feel like I can hear some feedback, so we'll see how we go.
Well, I can't hear feedback.
Yeah, we'll be all right. We'll see. Brilliant. At least it rings.
I don't know how to mute it. Just one before we start. I bumped into a lovely fella today on the Albert Dock when I was parking my car to go and get my new phone. I didn't catch his name. He did stop me when I first got there, and when I was going back to my car, he also stopped me and said he watches the channel. So I didn't catch your name, but thanks very much for the support. It was nice to meet you, and we had about a 5-minute chat when I bumped into him on the way back. So yeah, it means a lot for people to tell us that they do watch us, and it's good to put a face to the names, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really important that we continue to do that. The channel is all about the people. So, if you sit there and you support us and you all of those things, we always want to interact with you. So please continue to do so.
Yes.
So
would you like me to start the big news?
No, I'm going to start, John. I want to start because
your channel, isn't it?
No. I want to start because I want to talk about somebody that lives local to me here. That's why. So Tom Fellows has been linked again this afternoon. Everton are keen to bring in the winger. I think it was 4 goals and 4 assists last season for West Brom. We've got friends who are West Brom fans. John's also got friends that are West Brom fans. And look, they understand that Tom Fellows will probably be leaving West Brom this season. There is some confusion around the fee. Apparently Everton want to sign him for around 10 to 12 million plus add-ons. I think West Brom are very much looking more towards 20. Without giving too much away, there is genuine legs in this one.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoke about this for probably the best part of 4 months now, haven't we? Obviously, his family and stuff, and we were linked with him. Probably towards the end of last season, and you said there was legs in it then. You were asking the questions and you wasn't getting too many answers, but the rumours have surfaced again. I don't think Everton paid £20 million for him. I think Everton and West Brom need to get around the big table, and I can see them probably agreeing on something like 15 million with add-ons. I think that's probably the going rate for someone like Tom Fellows with his stats from last season. But I genuinely do think Tom Fellows becomes an Everton player.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think he's young, he's dynamic, he's currently in the under-21s. So, he's a player that he could work. That's the point I'm making. He's a player that could work. He's a player that could come into the team and do positive things for Everton. He's a player that could potentially grow into an important role. He's a player that's already in and around the England setup. So there's lots of positives to somebody like Tom Fellows in my mind.
I think he fits the model. I think he fits the model, what we're trying to do, doesn't he?
Yeah, and we've been linked with different players, and one of the things me and you both thought about was we were going to be going after young, hungry, exciting players. And we've been linked with Jack Grealish, Kyle Walker. We've been linked with players that are older and maybe not quite the narrative that we were all expecting. Tom Fellows definitely fits in that spot. He definitely fits in the growing the team for the future. Maybe it won't be the finished article next season, but the season after, could be a good season, etc., etc., etc. So, look, I'm happy with it. I'm certainly not against it. If Everton get in for less than 20 million, I think it's a good deal, and I do think this one genuinely could happen. And I think Everton will have to be quick because, by all accounts, other teams are looking at him, such as Fulham and Brighton. Matt O'Reilly's been linked with a move to Napoli this afternoon, so Brighton could very much be looking at him as well, just to throw that in there. But Everton certainly interested.
Yeah, and we spoke the other night about bringing young players in, and Everton are going to look at that model where we can bring younger players in for a relatively cheap fee, and then if Everton perform well and these players get noticed, then they have a good sell-on fee. And we've said this about bringing young players in, but also you go back to Kyle Walker and you go back to Jack Grealish. And I said we've also got to mix this youth that we're getting linked with and bringing a lot of young players in. Got to mix it with experienced players as well. So the likes of Tom Fellows, and then you've got Kyle Walker, the links are there. Jack Grealish, not old, but he's older than Tom Fellows. Everton are going to try and sort of blend. I think that's the model and the route that Everton Football Club are going to go down. There's going to be a blend of youth. There's going to be a blend of winners, which we spoke about the other night, bringing people in. But there's also going to be a blend of experience as well. And Everton haven't had that. You know, we spoke the other night about how many winners are in this squad, how many born winners, how many people have we got who have, you know, won trophies. All right, we had Ashley Young, he's gone. So I think going forward, you know, I'm going to see a mixture of everything. And if we can blend that mixture under the right manager, as in David Moyes, and where we want to go as a football club with the owners, and we're bringing the Man United scout in, we're bringing someone in from Man City, we brought the two fellas in from Leeds. I just think it's about fitting the jigsaw pieces into the right places. And I think Everton are looking at that and quite impressed at what they're doing at the minute, to be fair. You know, they're going about the business quietly. There's links that we all hear. But I said to the fella today who I met, I think from the 1st of July, the pieces for the jigsaw are going to start falling into place. And I just think the links are positive links that we're getting now.
Yeah, spot on. And the other thing I want to mention is the fact that Everton are in this position where we've got nothing to lose. Do you get what I mean? We've been at the bottom. We've been in this position where we've struggled and we've had problems, we've had challenges, we've had PSR issues, we've had manager issues, we've had player issues, and all of a sudden it just feels like Everton are coming to an end of it, and all of these positive changes are happening. I'm quite excited about the future, as you know from the video we did yesterday. But when you look at players that we're being linked with, we're not doing the same thing we did under Farhad Mashira, which was go and spend £47 million on Sigurdsson, go and sign an Ajax captain in David Klaassen, go and bring Wayne Rooney and spend 22 million on Morgan Schneiderlin. We're keeping pace, we're keeping youth, we're keeping experienced players, we're trying to tie down key ones, which we'll talk about in a minute. John will lead on to that subject in a second. But for me, all of this goes back to the ambition of building a team that is young, hungry, exciting, fast, knows where the goal is, knows where the opportunities to create assists and enjoys taking people on. Everton's dynamic is changing. The structure is dynamic. And the video that I released on Saturday when I spoke about how Everton will change and that Moyes will do a different style of football to Dyche. And the longer he's here, the more it will change. And, you know, I remember the David Moyes team that he left us with when he went to Manchester United. And that team, to be honest, was fantastic. You know, it had Jalovic scoring goals, it had Pienaar, it had pace, it had Fellaini, it had players that could really, really hurt teams. It had Kevin Morales. All of these players were signed for relatively nominal fees, but David Moyes got absolute fantastic things out of them. And we ended up playing in Europe. The season after, Martinez got us into the Champions League. Well, no, sorry, he got us into the Europa League, but we were very much in the right race for the Champions League. We finished on 72 points. All of these positive things, it just feels to me like we're gearing up to that way again.
Well, it can't be any worse than what we've been used to, can it? You know, it can't get any worse. And you're right with what you say, you know, going forward, the model that Everton are building now compared to the previous regime, it can't get any worse. And then you mentioned about how David Moyes left Everton Football Club to go to Man United and the position he left us in. David Moyes wants to build again. And you're right with what you say. The ambition's there now from the owners. We're getting the right people in place. We're linked with the right people. The people we're linked with, in my opinion, if we get these transfers over the line, I think it shows how we're going to play football next season as well. Because it's going to be chalk and cheese compared to what we had with the previous manager. Going forward, the players that we're linked with, what David Moyes... I wanted to add to what you said there before we move on to one of our defenders. David Moyes gets the best out of players. And that's it for me. That hits the nail on the head. And we've seen it, you know, the last couple of months of the season when he come in. If Everton would have stopped, if he would have come in and we were on 0 points, Everton still would have been safe. We seen what he got out of Beto. We seen he put Jake O'Brien at right back, and it looked like he was a seasoned pro there. David Moyes gets every last ounce of individual players, because Sean Dyche turned around and said he couldn't get any more. When we seen David Moyes, in my opinion, got an extra 20% out that squad of players. So he knows how to get the best out of individuals. So these players that we're linked with, I think he will do well with the likes of Tom Fellows. Tom Fellows coming to Everton from West Brom. No disrespect to West Brom, we have friends who support them. But I think Tom Fellows coming to somewhere like Everton, an up-and-coming club again, who are getting on the map and who are getting noticed with a manager who can get the best out of players. That's the sort of thing I want to see. We see what he done with Beto as well. You know, he got an extra 20% out of Beto. We writ him off. We wanted Beto gone. We didn't have a centre forward at the club. Now we're saying, and you said it to me, if we couldn't get a striker over the line for the time being, you could probably see him Beto being the number 1 striker. And that's down to David Moyes. Players are going to notice that. Players are going to see that, what David Moyes done since the previous manager. And they will want to be part of that. So I think the players that we're linked with, it's exciting. And again, it's another positive video. But as I keep saying, nothing can be as bad as what it was.
Well, this is the way to highlight that exact statement you've just made, right? So think about David Moyes' first tenure at Everton. He did 10 years, give or take. How many players went on to have better careers after leaving Everton?
Probably count them on one hand.
John Stones, maybe Joleon Lescott, albeit he completely fell apart at Aston Villa.
Rooney.
But he was 18 and he had Sir Alex Ferguson who he went to. But honestly, the majority of the time, it's never worked. You know, Victor Anichebe came through the Everton youth system. He got sold to West Brom for 6 million. Was okay, was half decent. I think he ended up at Sunderland back with David Moyes, and he played much better at Sunderland, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I'm not 100%, don't hold me to that. But the point I'm making is David Moyes absolutely does get players into this better than they can be. You know, he turned Jagielka into a central defensive midfielder at Sheffield United into a 50-cap England centre half who was criminally underrated, in my opinion. He turned Leighton Baines into, and I'll argue all day long, the best left back, certainly since I've been alive in Everton history, and I'll probably go as far as saying one of the best to grace English football as an Englishman. I think he was absolutely brilliant, and again, criminally underrated. You know, the whole Ashley Cole and Leighton Baines debate, I think, is a joke. I think Leighton Baines' PCs all over Ashley Cole, and I'll stand by that. I know people may disagree. Fine, whatever. I don't care. That's my opinion. But when you look at the job that he's done, he has managed to get... Joleon Lescott was playing left wing at one point and scored 10 goals in the season. He'd signed from Wolves for 6 million. We sold him for 24 million. He walked in and he got Thomas Gravesen and moved to Real Madrid. There's so many players that when you actually look at what David Moyes did, it's actually incredible. It's actually incredible. The only ones that he ever tended to get wrong was strikers. But I'm hoping he's learnt from that, if you get what I mean. I'm hoping he can get the striking position right now. But every other position, he always excelled himself. And I honestly am really, really positive about the future. You can tell. I know I sound a bit monotone. It's been a rough day for me today, but I am so positive about the future and this team and this group of players and this manager and this setup. I almost just want to get on with the pre-season and the season. I'm ready.
Well, we haven't been in this position for a long, long time. We haven't had a setup behind the scenes. We haven't had, the right people coming into the club to help the manager. It's been a while since we haven't worked with a director of football. And if you go back to some of the previous managers and the director of footballs they work with, Marcel Brands is quite explosive towards Everton Football Club. He reiterates he wasn't allowed to do his job. Steve Walsh got offered Erling Haaland and said no, he didn't want him. Erling Haaland could play for Everton. The setup we've got now without the director of football title will work with a manager like David Moyes. I don't think David Moyes and the director of football would work. I don't think it'd work. I think the setup we've got now going forward, as you said before, he gets the best out of players. In his first stint, you've mentioned players there who weren't household names. They weren't household names. You've got Jagielka, who went on to get 50 caps. Leighton Baines from Wigan, best left back I've seen probably at Goodison Park for Everton in my lifetime. We bought a Marouane Fellaini, who wasn't really heard of. Wayne Rooney come through when David Moyes was there. So players want to play for this manager, and I think you're seeing that from the end of the season just gone. Players pulled their socks up. He listened to him. He took on board what he had to say. And they also took on board what Everton Football Club means to him. Because David Moyes come into this football club, and the interviews that he done in the early days, you could tell he was hurt of the situation that, I'm going to call it his football club because he's an Everton fan. He called us the People's Club in his first interview. David Moyes is an Evertonian, and he got it, and he get it. And when he come to Everton this second time, he was hurt, and even he come out and said he was worried that this current squad of players couldn't do enough to keep this team up, but he did. And I'm just not going to heap praise on David Moyes. I'm also going to heap praise on the players who finished the season as well, because in my opinion, they deserve credit for picking themselves up after playing under the previous manager and working with David Moyes, which brings me on nicely to one of our star defenders has now entered talks into prolonging his stay at Everton, a certain Jarrad Branthwaite. We've been waiting for this news, and we knew it'd come. We knew Everton would enter negotiations with Jarrad Branthwaite. Now, if Jarrad Branthwaite signs this contract, it's been in the press today that David Moyes wants to build a team around Jarrad Branthwaite. Everton going to make him one of the highest paid players on the books. In my opinion, is fully deserved, 1,000,000%. Now, if you get Jarrad Branthwaite when he's being linked with Tottenham, okay, he had a shit season, but they've got Champions League football. He's been linked with Liverpool. He's been linked with Manchester City. If we can get this deal over the line for Jarrad Branthwaite to stay in and around Everton for a long, long time under this manager, I'm going to nail my whatever it is to the mast now, say whatever it is, right? I think it doesn't matter who we bring in this window coming up. Jarrad Branthwaite will be the best transfer business Everton do in this window if we can tie him down to a new deal.
I don't disagree. And again, it really does just talk about the ambition, doesn't it? He's been a player that's been linked with Tottenham, Man United, I think Chelsea. He was even linked with Liverpool at one point. Yeah. He he's definitely a player that I can see. I can see the future, if you get what I mean. Like he's a player that I think he's criminally underrated again. I think from an England perspective, I think Jarrad Branthwaite, it's only a matter of time before he's starting game in, game out for England, which I don't really want, if I'm being brutally honest, but I'm sure he does. You know, his ambition will be to play for England, no doubt. But the point I make is, yet again, Everton are looking at the squad and going, right, who do we actually want to keep? And out of the players we want to keep, what are we going to do to keep them? Now, that might mean that Jarrad Branthwaite signs the biggest deal that, you know, Everton currently are offering, which is probably to match, you know, Jordan Pickford's wages. I think he's the highest earner. And he completely deserves it, in my opinion. He completely deserves it with his trajectory and everything else. The thing I want to highlight is you're talking about two young centre halves at Everton that, in my genuine opinion, are as good as each other. And I throw Jake O'Brien into that category because I think Jake O'Brien is an absolutely monstrous defender. So you've got the building blocks plus the England #1 goalkeeper, cemented, by the way, for anyone that thinks he's not. I mean, he is. It's everything that you build in front of that now. And that's the confidence that I've now got in Moyes and Everton. Honestly, John, if PSR wasn't a thing this season, I mean this, I genuinely think if Moyes could have his way with transfers and whatever else he wants, and there was no money limits, because I'm sure there still is somewhere, I genuinely think we challenge for Europe, if not be in Europe next season. I'm absolutely convinced of it.
Mate, I think we will go close to challenging for Europe. I really do. Going off what David Moyes done when he come in, tying Jarrad Branthwaite down, and you're right with what you say about Jake O'Brien. We can't leave Tarkowski out of this because, for me, in my opinion, Tarkowski was brilliant as well. But going forward, you've got England's #1 goalkeeper. In my opinion, no other keeper in the England setup is good enough to lace Jordan Pickford's boots. He's the England #1 by an absolute country mile. He's that far away, I can't even fucking see him. That's how far away he is from the other goalkeepers. And then you've got Jake O'Brien and you've got Branthwaite, who could become the best central defensive partnership in the Premier League. So, as you said before, you've got your good foundation there. You've got your good base. You've got a top goalkeeper. You've got two top centre halves. We need a top centre forward, which we won't go into that because we're broken records. We know we need that. But then you've got the spine through the middle. We've signed Charlie. I'm not going to call him a spine. I think he's a vein running in the spine, to be fair, Charlie. He's not there yet. But if we can add to that midfield and we can add a bit of width, I just think going forward with the quality that David Moyes wants to bring in and the quality that the Freakins want to bring in and put Everton back on the map again, because we keep saying this, Everton are a giant waiting to be awoken. And I honestly think next season we could probably challenge for the Conference League places, possibly. I don't know. You've got to see how other teams do with the strengthening. But going from what David Moyes done and what he gets out of players, if we can tie Jarrad Branthwaite down, which also, in my opinion, will be a statement to other players who are linked with. Because when you look at what Jarrad Branthwaite is being linked with, and Jordan Pickford is a mainstay at Everton, very happy in the Northwest, very happy at Everton. You've got Jake O'Brien, who didn't get a sniff under Sean Dyche. David Moyes has come in. He's cemented his place at right back when he's not a right back. Players from outside who we're linked with, when Everton approached them, David Moyes can sell the project to them. We've got the right people in place now who are coming in. Sorry, not yet, but they're coming in, who can sell the project of Everton and where we want to go and where we want to be. It's the future is very, very bright for Everton because we're bringing the right people in. We're linked with the right people. And I'm going to say it, and I haven't said this for a good few years now. it's an exciting time to be a toffee.
Yeah, spot on. Look, I'm going to leave it there. I am off to see my nan. So it's been a rough day today. It's been a rough day. We found out that my mum, unfortunately, she has cancer. So it's been a rough one. The silver lining is that it's a grade 1, so it's very treatable. It's very, very early. So touch wood, everything should be fine. So yeah, just a bit all over the place today, guys. So sorry if I look a bit monotone, a bit miserable. I'm trying to keep it together as best as I can, and it's always tough, isn't it, when you come on here and you try to be this bubbly personality, and it's not always quite there. It's a challenge. John genuinely is a miserable bastard half the time, but he does put a smile on for the channel, so that's always nice. So
it is hard to be happy when you've got stuff going on. I'm a perfect example of that. But you were worried about your mum's diagnosis today. I know that we spoke on the phone, and you did say to me, if I don't answer the phone after 1:30, but you did text me, and I was in a meeting with the school. I'm made up. Sounds terrible. I'm not made up. She's got cancer, but the diagnosis is it's treatable, and there's no further, touch wood, they've got it right, and no further treatment. And from me, and for everyone who watches this channel, we're all sending your mum and you and your family all our love, and if she's like you, then she'll smash it.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate it. And the positive is you already know my mum very well, as you keep telling me. So
at least you'll be able to get pregnant now.
I mean, that would be hilarious, wouldn't it? Jesus
Christ. They haven't done their job then if she does.
I'd shut the channel down, honest to God. John Maguire and my mum babies. Fucking hell. Right. Anyway, look, we will leave it there, guys. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. We will see you soon.
And can we add something about what got released last night?
Yeah.
Right. So everyone knows, well, hopefully everyone knows that me and Michael went down to London. We took part in the Talksport Cup. We've been waiting months for the release. It's out. Our first round tie competition, quiz, whatever you want to call it, is now on Talksport Cup. So if you go to YouTube and you type that in, I think it's the top video or the second video, you will see Everton versus the opponents that we played against. Go and give it a watch and let us know what you think. We can't put it on here because of copyright. Can't put the link, but I'm telling you to go and watch it.
There you go. So, yeah, guys, we will see you soon. And, yeah, up the toffees. Peace.